And that too.
She's supposed to, yeah. Got it, then. She's got the indication.
Just text her.
Just see if she's out there. If she's not, we'll just start right there.
Welcome, everybody.
We need to get Danny back in here listening to her. Okay. Well, okay.
She's not part, but she only parts.
Okay, that's okay. We'll just go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this special call meeting with City Council. We'd like to ask everyone to please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Lord, we give you many thanks for this beautiful day you've given us. We give you thanks for these people in Clinton that are here to do your city's work. Grant us all wisdom to make good decisions for all of our citizens. Grant everyone traveling mercies as they go home tonight. We ask in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Metters.
Good afternoon. Item on the agenda tonight is for City Council to consider first reading of an ordinance number 2025-006-005, approving the sale of city-owned on real property within the corporate city limits of Clinton, containing 552.72 acres, more or less, known as Tract B and C of the Whitman Center property, and being identified as Lawrence County Tax Map number 901-34-01004, and other matters relating thereto.
Okay, we have the recommendation from staff. We'll entertain a motion and a second and to put this on the floor for discussion.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Kirkendall.
Second.
Second from Mr. Cook, I think, was the first second. Questions or comments? Oh, we got to put it on, right. I was just questioning and commenting. All right, go ahead.
We have the developer here tonight that would like to kind of give council this plan, and John Suter is.
John, welcome.
Thank you. So basically, you know, I just want to get up and tell you a little bit how this whole thing came about, so you guys understand where I'm coming from. When I first came down here in 2019, you know, my son's a baseball player, and he started playing with elite with Chad Webb. And during our time playing ball, we've traveled all around the country. We've been to Tennessee, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, and every place that we go to play ball, you know, there's hotels, there's food, spending money, you know, and one day it occurred to me that we didn't have one in the upstate facility like they do in Emerson, Georgia, which is Lake Point. Talking to people out there at Lake Point, and, you know, they didn't have a lot. It was basically, you know, a small town like Clinton. And now if you guys have ever been out there, it's incredible what they've built around these fields. And if you talk to the mayor out there or any of the politicians, they'll tell you that the fields built the town. With that in mind, I got with Chad and we started talking about it, and basically we were looking for land to do this project. A friend of Chad's guy, his name is Josh, I don't know his last name, he's from down here. He called Chad and told him about this land, and Chad, you know, grew up down here, and he was always part of this and being on it. Looking at the maps at the interstates coming in at 385 and 26, I couldn't think of a better place to put these fields and to build this, you know, project that we want to do. Once the fields are in, the numbers that we got, and I've gone over these numbers, I must have gone over them 1,000 times. You know, you're looking at an average of, you know, between 200,000 and 300,000 people coming into this town a year, and that's on a very conservative edge. If Chad can get up and explain to you more about all these other big tournaments, I'm talking about just weekend tournaments that we normally play. That's without collegiate baseball and other tournaments that Chad would be able to talk to you more about. With this being said, you know, I feel that like this project in Clinton absolutely go together. I think that it would be a wonderful thing for the town and the community. You know, we want to help the small businesses in the town here, you know what I mean, like with advertising and things like that. If you're a small business in the town of Clinton, we want to get your name in these fields, you know what I mean, and not for, you know, some insane number. Because if you're a Clinton business, we want to get your advertising as cheaply as possible. We want to help the community. We want to be part of the community. We don't, you know, I'm not just some developer that's coming in here and want to, you know, sell everything off and run off, you know, with my money. That's not our goal here. Our goal is to be part of the community, something to be proud of. And I think it'll work. We've spoken to a lot of big companies, like, just for example, excuse me, my glasses, I can't see it.
I understand.
But, you know, we've spoken to New Balance, Wilson, Rawlings, Under Armour, and believe it or not, the biggest company that's shown the most interest in really helping put these fields in is Michelin. You know, we've spoken to Jeff Brown, who owns the Drive, the Greenville Drive. He's a coach with Chad. we got meetings with him to sit down to discuss investment and getting the big businesses in here. We really did drop enough crumbs along the way to get people very, very interested. The phone does not stop ringing. People want to be part of these fields. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, because we don't have, the details of the contract worked out, which we're right here, we're gonna get that all done. We can start really sitting down with these people and bringing in the money. So, if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer whatever I can.
John, can you just go over a little, or whoever wants to, what's in the park? What's going to be here? You know, the fields, the amenities there.
We're gonna have a minimum of 13 fields with room for expansion now because of the amount of land there, but they're gonna be all turf fields, all top of the line. I told Chad when we started that if Clinton cannot be the place where people talk about to go play baseball, I don't wanna do it. I mean, I want to be, this is going to be the premier place to play baseball. You got Space Coast in Florida, you got Lake Point in Georgia. There are a few fields down in Myrtle Beach, but nothing like what we're going to be putting on. Everything's going to be state of the art. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So, we're going to have with the fields. We wanted to put the subdivision in there to bring in, more of an upscale homes in here. So I have made a deal with Bungalow Homes, which Bungalow Homes, I did a subdivision in Powdersville, and I know that they're a tract builder, but the deal I made with Bungalow Homes when they wanted to build, I made a promise to the community in Powdersville that I would not sell to tract builders, and that there would be custom homes in there. I made a covenant, I presented it to the board, they loved it. Then the tract builders came, and I said no over and over again. Bungalow Homes came in and they agreed to build their homes to my specs, which they've never done before. And the homes that they're selling in Powdersville right now are the most expensive homes they've ever sold anywhere in South Carolina or anywhere else. And it was a big hit. They're selling those homes like crazy. They're selling them for $1 million a home, right? These homes here, we're looking at, our target price is going to be somewhere around $450,000 to $475,000 per house. Okay. I might have to change that design a little bit because we got to put a second entranceway in there, but that's about the amount of houses you'll get, about 208 houses. Mungo's ready to go. They told me that they're going to purchase every single one of those lots immediately. So that part of the deal is pretty much done. We've spoken to, like I said, everybody else. And people just want to get in the room with us and talk. I've kind of been holding them off until, of course we had to go through the readings. We got to get permission from all use. So, once we get past the readings and you guys approve the deal, we could hit the ground running. That's my goal here.
And what else? I'm sorry.
What
What else? Homes, 13 fields.
Yeah.
What else is in this?
We have, oh yeah. So we got 3 hotels. One major hotel is going to be the one in the back there. We're looking to make that a full-size Hilton hotel with conference rooms and stuff like that, and restaurants. Now, we are hoping that hotel will help the other side of, when you want to put your industrial, people want to come in and, you have a hotel with the conference rooms and restaurants and everything that they want to be in. Then we have another hotel here and there, 2 other hotels. There'll be smaller ones like a True Hotel or a Home Suite 2. My daughter actually works for Hilton, and he gave me a company in Greenville to contact and build these hotels, which I'm working with them. After that, all of the orange is restaurants and retail. The big store there, we're hoping to get a Publix or an Ingles in there, and up on the top, on 72, we're looking for a Chick-fil-A, you know, and some other stores there too. And like I said, the other ones will be retail stores. So,
Any banks?
a bank? No.
No,
You want a bank?
we don't have one on that end. You're putting everything else in there, so.
Carl Stevens told me a couple of things he wanted. One was a movie theater. I was like, I don't like a movie theater. Carl tried. But, you know, that part of it is open, you know what I mean? Like, you know, we want to bring businesses in, you know what I mean? So, but definitely the 3 hotels, which they'll definitely come with the fields. Because people are going to need places to stay when they come down those fields. And we want them to stay in Clinton. We don't want them going up the road. You know, we want them staying here. So.
And
that's
what
how
kind
we
of
go.
houses are these again?
They're gonna be in the range. We're shooting for the range of around 450,000 between, you know, on the small houses maybe 390 up. They'll start at like in my subdivision, they started them off at 7. Not one is sold under 9. Like they're all $800,000-$900,000 for all the extras that they put into them. So that's what we're looking for.
But you called it a certain type of house. What-
That's the
No,
company.
That's
the builder.
Munger Homes is the builder.
So are these gonna be clustered homes?
No,
Oh.
actually, these lots are gonna be larger than, you know, when you got the sewer lots, when you have sewer there, they pile them on, they can make an 8,000 square foot lot. These lots are gonna be over 12,000 square feet. They're gonna be, I believe they're 90 to 100 feet wide by 125 feet deep. I made the lots larger than, you know, instead of crowding them all in on top of each other. Like I didn't go over to the D.R. Horton site, that's on the other side, but most likely that's what they got. They're on top of each other.
So given approval, what is the time frame that you're looking at starting and?
Well, it's gonna take, the engineering part of this is gonna take at least 7 months to do the engineering, right? And then during that 7 months time is when we're gonna start raising the funds and everything. And then, you know, it depends on also, you know, I mean, usually I got my engineers here, but they're not with me today, so they could have answered you all those questions about DHAC and all of that stuff that, you know, we're trying to get that all done in that 7-month period. But once the engineering's done, then it's gotta be approved by DHAC and planning and stuff like that. That all takes time. You know what I mean? So we're hoping within, you know, 15 months to between 15 and 18 months, we're hoping that we can start breaking ground. You know, if, you know, God willing, everything goes well. You know.
Well, the draw is baseball, so,
It's baseball.
Chad, you talked to us a lot the first time y'all came here, so,
I'm gonna let him talk about the baseball.
Chad, you gotta tell them where you're from too first.
I'm from a little small town called Clinton, South Carolina. Most of you guys know where that's at. So I'll just kind of go over the baseball plan. Obviously, the fields are here. All these fields here will be. Okay. All those fields, we'll have 8, 60, 90 fields with accumulation 13 and above. Then we'll have the others will be at 250, so that we can play 8 to 12 on. Just a little background on myself. I've been doing travel baseball since 2006. Again, I travel all over the country to play this game. We have 25 teams in the league right now on the baseball side, and 4 on the softball. That every week we're somewhere else. We just got back in Charlotte. I'm leaving Saturday to go to Alabama. Leave there, and I'll be back in Atlanta. So when me and John got talking, we were actually going to Iowa last year to the Field of Dreams. So we got to see that facility. That's kind of where we got the idea of, you know, why are we traveling every weekend? And there's a 100-team tournament within 45 minutes of the upstate of South Carolina every single weekend. And, you know, and they have to play on dirt fields. They have to play on, you know, again, it's not Lake Point. If you guys haven't seen Lake Point, Lake Point is the mecca. Every weekend, 38 weekends a month, Lake Point is completely full. I'm going to the WWBA 2 weeks. There's 480 teams there, and that's a 1-week tournament. And that's all over, you know, all the Atlanta area. The big draw in Atlanta is they have
a 2-field complex, a 4-field complex, a 6-field complex, but they're all an hour and 15 minutes away in Atlanta. So that's the tough part. The draw to come to Clinton, South Carolina, we're gonna have, you know, 8 fields, 60, 90 fields, all within, you know, on one campus. That's not heard of anywhere else, not even at Lakeville. So that's a huge draw. Obviously, I'm in contacts with Prospect Select, Perfect Game, PBR every week. You know, I know this guy by his first name. Obviously, I've been in the game for a long time, and they guarantee me whatever association we go, we'd have 120 teams for 38 weekends a month from day one. The draw is the turf fields and being centrally located and all in one spot. So again, that's why we wanted Clinton, South Carolina. Obviously, I'm from here, got a lot of ties here. I'd love to come back home to finish my career here. So anybody else have any questions on the baseball side? I can probably answer all those for you guys.
Well, when you talking the baseball field, so definitely gonna need the hotels to go along with
Yes,
that,
ma'am.
because I mean, if you're gonna have traveling, you
Yeah.
gotta have somewhere to stay. So
Agreed.
that's gonna be coming along with the fields as well as at least one of those hotels.
Yes, ma'am. So just to get, if you guys are not familiar with Emerson, let me give you a little background. I played at the first tournament ever hosted at Emerson, Georgia, which is Lake Point. The first day we got there, there's a one gas station. That was it. They put in a Holiday Inn right there, and you can go on that Holiday Inn right now and try to book a room 2 years out and you ain't get one. It's not gonna happen. Now, obviously, Emerson's a little bit different. There's everything in Emerson now. You know, 5 or 6, 8 hotels, any and everything that you want to eat. Chick-fil-A's on site now. Obviously, that wasn't there when it first started. But when the first time I took the left off of Emerson right there at Lake Point, you had baseball fields and that's it. And now it's a full-blown, it's Greenville made over. And it's completely based around those fields at Lake Point, which are full 42 weeks out of the year, and completely full. You can, even for my team, and if in order for me to get the tournament in for next year, I had already had to be on the waiting list right now. You just can't sign up tomorrow just because they're all full. And the common denominator with all the areas that are full is turf fields. Everybody wants to play on turf, and Lake Point's full, Shipyard's full. Space Coast, all those for a year out. They're a year out just to get one team in a tournament. They're a year out already right now.
So, and this is going to be much bigger than what, have you seen the rec center in Spartanburg? What they're building now?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot bigger than that. Way bigger. Lake Point has 9 fields, but they're all not 60. All the 9s are not 69. Well, 69 is a full size field. Yeah, high school field, correct. Or college field or pro field. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Chad, I don't know if this is for you.
Can I just add something here? I did have a conversation with the assistant city manager from Emerson, Georgia, and he talked about, he's been there pre-Lake Point and, up to now. He said it was a major win for the city. Obviously, it was a win-win situation for them. They could not lose. My biggest concern when we started talking was with the influx of people, how was that going to impact like police and fire? And according to him, there was a very, very minimal impact on them. They don't have a whole lot of problems, but they were from the extra revenue that they're now generating, were able to build their own community center and things like that. So the town has really benefited from Lake Point being there. And I've looked at the videos. It's very impressive. So seeing something like that and having something like that could be in our own backyard is pretty amazing.
You can see a Lake Point video on YouTube, I think. Is that where?
I can send it out to you. I can send them out to you. Lake Point does an amazing job. They also cover a lot of different sports.
Yep.
I think it was 30 different sports that they've evolved into, but they have not only high school college, they even have some pro level sports there.
And you're saying it's gonna have minimum impact on police and fire with all these houses as well? I mean, that's gonna increase, right? With sanitation, fire,
Well,
police.
yeah, but 208 houses is gonna really increase it that significant. It's the, you know, we were worried more from the aspect of, you know, our police gonna be called for car break-ins or whatnot, but they really said it's a very well-run operation, that they even have, you know, parking lot attendants to make sure that everybody's cars are left alone and things like that. So they hire all those people out.
The city's gonna benefit greatly from
I haven't
an
heard
income.
this, but I'm sure John's put anything and anything they wanted, so, just with that, I'm sure, like, if they wanted an officer there for the weekend, you know, one or two, I'm sure you'd be willing to pay for a weekend, you know.
If needed
If you
be,
needed
but
security for the ball games, I mean, I'm sure,
If need be, absolutely.
Right.
But you gotta remember, this is whole families, man. People are coming to these baseball games with their grandparents, their little brothers and sisters. You know, my son Ricky, you know, his little sister's at the games, his mom's at the games. And if his mom's at the games, the grandparents are at the games, the grandparents are at the games, his older sister's at the games. It's all families. Very rarely do you have any problems. I mean, I've been, for the last 4 years playing with my son, if I've seen one problem or two problems actually, you know what I mean? And security was there, out the door, and it was real quick, but very rarely. I mean, and we played in hundreds of games, and I don't think that Clinton's got to worry about, you know, rowdiness or crime or anything like that from these fields. I think it's just the opposite. It's a family event, and that's what you're gonna have in here. It's nothing but families.
Do you have a projected of jobs?
Well, to be honest with you, I am gonna have a performer done on all of that. There's a lot of money that gets started off with this, you know what I mean, as far as the site plans and all this stuff that we're doing. And I just, you know, what I needed to know before we kept moving forward is that how do you all feel about, you know, the situation, you know what I mean? And is this what you guys want for Clinton? You know what I mean? And then all of those jobs, all of that could be answered. One hotel is going to employ 30, 35. I think my daughter runs a Hampton Inn. I asked her, because she runs a Hampton Inn down in Columbia, and I believe that they got 35 employees without parking attendants. That's separate. But they got 35 employees working in that one hotel. I mean, you're going to have two and one, like 3 times the size. So I think just in the hotels, you're probably talking a couple hundred jobs just in the hotels. That's not counting the restaurants and the retail stores. And then, you know, the people that are going to be working on the fields, maintaining the fields. And, you know, we want all these people to be from the area. You know, we want to try to get as many people in Clinton working that needs to work as possible. You know, and as far as if we need to bring in some extra security or something like that, you know,
Yeah.
that pretty much will be taken care of by the fields. You know, and I don't see any of that being a problem.
And will local contractors have the opportunity to bid on?
Absolutely. I want as many people from Clinton to be part of this project as humanly possible. And if you know, the way I work is I keep everything in house. You know, when I first met my real estate lady, my real estate woman, when I first moved down here and decided to build my first complex, she said, "John, use this engineer. We know him. He's a great guy." I went to that engineer. That engineer said, "Okay, John, use this guy to do your grading." You know, and I kind of built a team around people that all know each other. We would love to have everybody from Clinton working. You know, anybody that could be part of this, we'd love it. You know, that's for sure. So.
Is this primarily teams coming in on the weekends? What goes on with the fields during the week?
Well, most of the tournaments are on the weekends, okay, which will be. Check it into this more than I can.
So, most of the weekend tournaments will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those start in March. But when the high school gets ramped up, that's usually sometime at the end of May. A lot of those tournaments are on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but then they have the week-long tournaments. So you usually get like 8 week-long tournaments, which is like the WWBA, the Black Bear, any type of World Series. All those will be 6-day events. So those will be, they usually start those Monday, Saturday, and then they'll have Sunday off, and then Monday will be the opening ceremonies for the next tournament. So that's 6 weeks a year. You'll get the big ones, the week-long stuff. Yeah. So that's the week-long stuff. But the weekend stuff it's constant. You'll get those 38 weekends a month. A year. 38 weekends a year. Yeah. So that's as far as the week-long stuff.
Chad, of course, you, Jeremy, and all y'all know about the baseball or whatever, but everybody in here does not do travel ball, so they don't know. Show them the numbers per weekend, per team, not, just say you got a team with 15 kids, just say 45 people per team, 100 teams. Show the numbers that's gonna come into this town,
Yeah.
and then they're gonna be waiting 2 and 3 hours, and what they're gonna do when that 2 and 3 hours is going on.
So, just a little background on how the tournament stuff works. A lot of you guys may or may not know. So, just on a regular weekend tournament, you'll play you'll have 2 pool play games on Saturday or Friday and Saturday. Then we'll seed you into a single limit or a double elimination bracket. Either starts Saturday night and goes into Sunday or all day Sunday. So, once the people get into the town, they're here for a whole weekend. They're not leaving because of the durations of the games. You could play at 8 o'clock and 3 o'clock, so your family's here for the whole time. So there's really nothing you can do as far as leaving and coming back. Especially most of the big tournaments. Especially the week-long stuff. All those guys from out of state. When we were in Charlotte this weekend, there were 4 teams from South Carolina. There were 6 from Charlotte. And then everybody else, the rest of the 240 teams are all across the country. So obviously all those guys are not local, they have to stay somewhere. So the tournament we played this weekend was this week was one of the 6-day tournaments. And then they'll have another 3-day tournament back into that, and then they'll have a 6-day right after that. So pretty much for those 7 weeks, it's 7 days a week. Occasionally you get the Sunday off. But just the numbers. If you have if you have a 100-team tournament and you have 12 players per tournament, per team, you times that by 2 is at least how many people's coming as far as parents go. Yeah. So just for let me make sure I get these numbers right. Just on the weekends based, you're looking at almost 300,000 people just on the weekend. That's not counting the weekday stuff. We did not put that in the 7 days. So that's if we're just going those 38 weekends a year. It's just you're right at 300,000 people a year, and that's very minimum. That's if you only have 2 parents. Now, Jeremy can attest to this, and other guys that are here. 8 through 12, 2 parents is not coming. They're going to bring grandma, grandpa, and we're not accounting for that. Now, obviously, when you get to the older age groups, 13s and above, then sometimes that margin narrows down a little bit. But 8 through 12, I would say there's 4 or 5 per player coming. Now those numbers are going to be way more inflated than 300,000. And again, this is just counting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is not counting. Obviously, I've got a lot of really good friends in the collegiate side. Coach Crocco, obviously at Erskine, and he's made it very clear, as soon as we get this, he wants to do their preseason tournament here. And that's collegiate, on the collegiate side. We also talked about doing a wood bat league for collegiate players. Some of you guys may or may not know in Joanna, they're trying to rebuild that field in Joanna. They do have a wood bat collegiate team there right now. And we would be able to host a whole wood bat collegiate team out of just one area. That does not, we're not including those numbers in this as well. So that's another perk that we could bring. Again, we have 8 fields. Nobody else in the country has 8 69s that are just 69s. Obviously, we have 13 total, but 8 that we could play a collegiate league on. So again, it gets more appealing to the high school league. Obviously, we could do. They have a tournament every year, a preseason tournament every year. That would be a huge hit here. The collegiate tournaments will be a huge hit, and then if we can do a collegiate with that league, it's all stuff that we're not talking about on these numbers with 300,000 a year. So again, I think we could inflate that by, almost double with the other stuff, not just the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday tournaments.
This is
And I
a
guess-
huge win for
Yeah.
Clinton and for you guys too. I mean, it's going to be a,
Well, obviously for me, it's going to be big. Right here is, it's my facility, so I'll get to put a league in Clinton, so that'll be huge for me. Yeah, right there. And then for us to be able to grow our brand as well. We want to go from 20 teams to 45 and a lot of Clinton kids. Again, I've had many Clinton kids throughout the years, a lot. So hopefully we can double that number.
And we also want to, we want to help, some of the underprivileged kids that, it's an expensive sport, it's a lot of money to play ball, the bats, everything, so the bats are $300 bats and this and that. So a lot of the kids have a hard time coming up with that. So the kids of Clinton, that we can help, any kids that we can help, we're going to do our best to try to, let them be part of the training facilities and get them involved in baseball. Also, that's another big perk that we wanted to give the city too. So with that in mind, the numbers are pretty astounding. When I first looked at all these numbers, I was flabbergasted by how many people actually are attracted to these fields, and it's the truth because I live it. Just with my son, we're up in Nashville. I spent $2,000 up there. You know what I mean? I go to Charlotte, same thing, thousands of dollars on hotels and food and everything. It's pretty incredible, and I think it's going to be a great fit down here.
And my next question is really to Mr. Meadows. How would this affect the rec center that we are planning to?
It will not hurt it at all. We are about to begin in August soccer games on our multi-purpose fields, and then we will begin our baseball with the YMCA in the spring of next year. So ours will move right along just like they are.
the income generated off of this complex is going to really help us run our
Yes, sir.
complex for our local kids too. And we're going to, and I know y'all have talked about really doing some joint stuff.
We
So.
could, we've talked about it. I think we the legalities of it all has to be worked out. But we could fill those fields too. We could fill the high school field right here. You start adding these two fields, the two with the old high school and the four that you have. All of those fields we could fill up, and that's more people coming in every single weekend. As far as the rec fields that you guys are building, another big plus for us is that when it rains, those kids can't play ball. Now they can. You know what I mean? Because we're going to take those kids that are supposed to play on those rec fields, instead of sending them home because they can't play because the fields are all muddy, they're going to come and play on our fields. You know what I mean? And they're going to keep playing baseball. You know what I mean? So that's what we're offering to you. And I got to tell you, I know I can pull this off. I know we can make this work as a team, everybody in the community, Chad on his end, and everybody else that's showing absolute interest in making this done. As far as Old Colony Road, I know a lot of people are worried about Old Colony Road. We're going to do everything humanly possible to avoid using Old Colony Road, coming in different areas, in different ways. In the very beginning, we'll probably have to use that road a bit. If it gets damaged, we have no problem fixing it. But I know that that's a concern because we see that online. So that is not our objective, is to go through Old Colony Road.
So that's not going to be a permanent.
We're going to do everything humanly possible. Like, as you can see, we've got different ways to come in, this way. I'm talking to other people about other ways that we can try to get in, maybe up on the top. There's different things that we can do. But Old Colony Road is not our objective, to go to Old Colony Road. And I know that that's a concern to a lot of people. So.
And I know you said, online, because online, people have even said that there's some military graves. So have that been,
Well, we were out there today, actually, looking for that military grave, and we will treat it, you know, with the absolute respect that it needs to be treated with. If it falls into a place where we tend to build, we're just gonna have to move it, not the grave.
I was gonna
You know, to be honest with you, what brought us on this side was the other side. You know, we found, you know, a pretty big cemetery on the other side. And that steered us back on this side of 26, which I think, by the way, because of the amount of room that we have to expand for the businesses and the hotels, it's gonna work out a lot better for everybody. And I think that the revenue that the town's gonna be bringing in, I think that it will surely help this town. And Carl had done his homework, he called up, you know, like I said, he called up Emerson, and anybody else can call those people, and they'll all tell you the same thing. The town is, I can't think of it right now, it's a town in Alabama, same thing, it was one traffic light. Fields went in, everything built around it. Space Coast in Florida is amazing, you know, so. Is there any other questions?
John, you mentioned, well, of course, I've heard about this for a while, but, you said the Chick-fil-A, and she was talking about jobs at the hotel, but you're not only gonna do a Chick-fil-A, what was the other restaurants that you, cause
Well,
we've heard the Food Court, we've heard Outback, Cracker Barrel, what is, who have you talked to?
This is my idea, is actually that this here would be a food court for the Fields. You know, up here, we're looking, you know, near this hotel, we're hoping to put, you know, Cracker Barrel or, you know, Longhorns. Mind you, now we have to talk to these people. It's not, you know, but with the Fields and this, they're surely going to come. Okay. Over here, we were thinking of contacting Chick-fil-A, and I'm going to tell you another, like, a quick story. My wife, watching me do this whole thing, she wanted to open up. She asked me if she could open up a Rita's Ice place in there, Rita's Italian Ice, and she started looking up to buy a franchise to put there when I do get the Fields. And they turned us down. They said that they can't put a Rita's Ice in Clinton because the population is so small. I got on the phone with them and briefly told them about the Fields and what our plans were, how we were trying to imitate Emerson, Georgia. The guy pretty much, you know, I'm sorry we can't help you, called us back and said, if you put the Fields in, call us back and they'll give you the franchise. So like I said, the Fields are going to bring the businesses. They're going to want to be here. They're going to be wanted. Not to mention, right off of 26, it's a perfect place. You just can't get any better than that. So
People are going to pay attention to 300,000 people. I mean, there's no way other.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you didn't. Go ahead.
Is the gray right in the middle? That's parking?
Excuse me?
The gray right in the middle, is that parking?
Yeah, this is going to be the parking for the Fields here and here. All of this is the parking for the Fields.
Okay.
in the green space?
Green space is going to be kept natural. You know, like you have streams coming through here and here. You know, this got clear cutted. We had nothing to do with that, but we were actually going to try to keep this as green as possible. But anyway, all of the green is staying natural. You know, like I said, you have natural streams coming down here and here, and you have one coming down in here on the end. So if it's green, it's staying. You know, except for, you know, some spots where we want to put parks, stuff like that for the kids.
Other questions?
This all sounds really exciting for Clinton. And I have to say, you know, you're getting this land at a steal at $2,500 an acre. That was one of my biggest concerns there, and I have to put that out there. That was a big concern. $2,500. So that's a big steal, but I see what the division and how it can help develop Clinton. And it sounds good. And hopefully it's going to be
The investment,
good.
the amount of money that's gonna end up being invested in this project in the end will be well over $100 million, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, I gotta start this project myself, and in the beginning, every penny that comes into this project is coming directly out of my pocket. I just told my wife she can't have a new house.
Yeah.
But once I do get this off the ground, once I get the engineering done, once I get, you know, the approvals from all you people, and then I start talking to the investors, the money will start coming in. You know what I mean? But the first thing I want to see is, you know, are we off the ground, or is this just an idea right now? You know? And unfortunately, right now it's a really good idea, but after you guys vote, and I hope you vote our way, it's going to become a reality, and we're going to start moving along, you know, very rapidly.
John, I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. It doesn't bother me, cause I'm all in. You see, I'm a ball player my whole life, but, the elephant in the room is worried about, just like she just said, $2,500 per acre that you're getting a steal, but they're scared that you're gonna take this, you buy it, and then you're gonna sell it, and we look like dummies. That's the elephant in the room.
Well, Carl got him a really good lawyer. Really good lawyer.
It's in the contract here.
Yeah.
So,
We have, there's a lot of protections in that contract to make sure this is the project that comes to fruition or it doesn't happen.
Oh, you don't have to trust me, I'm not an ex.
And then this have to be, what, 15 months
Right.
is what this was saying, 15 months? That something have to,
That's one of the points that we are negotiating on right now, that's just the beginning of construction. John's concern was, you know, possible cemeteries in there could delay things, so we're talking about extending that a little bit.
what delays happen is the Army Corps of Engineers coming in. My project in Powdersville, completely approved by the board, approved by my engineers. The city's engineers looked at everything was fine. When they made me call the Army Corps of Engineers, said I was in the wetlands, and they shut the whole project down for a year and a half until they were able to go out there. It turned out I was right, my engineers were right, we weren't in the wetlands, but it did, you know, these are unforeseen things that could happen, you know. To be honest with you, I never thought of looking for a cemetery. When we were on the other side, my engineers did, because he happens to be a Civil War guy, you know, and he was talking about some battles that were here, you know, in the Civil War, and he actually called the state to check, and he's the one who told us about those cemeteries out there. So we called the state about this land, and they said that they have no cemeteries on record in that, but maybe we should go out and look. You know what I mean? So all of that being said, I don't know how long that's going to take. You know what I mean? If we get, you know what I mean? If we run into something like that,
so we would have to, I mean, because in this contract that council is expecting to sign says within 15 months. So,
Well, 15
Mr.
months
Stephen,
is-
are you planning on, is this going to be revised?
We-
Or, I mean, what is the time frame that you going to, if it's not going to be 15 months, what is the length of time?
I'm gonna ask to extend that 15 months to 24 months. But as far as, if we're not building in 24 months, I gotta tell you, man, I dropped the ball. That's just not gonna happen, you know what I mean? I mean, we're gonna be in there more, but because of unforeseen things like that, you know, I have to, you know, I have to protect myself, because considering the amount of money, you know, just, if we sign these contracts next week, I cut my engineers loose and I gotta get them a check for $250,000 just to get started, okay? So there's gonna be a lot of money and a lot of time, and I'm gonna have, get wetlands reports. I got some people out there to check for wetlands. I got now the cemetery thing, I gotta worry about that. So there's a lot of homework that's gotta get done before we get started. Like I said, the engineering alone should take approximately 7 months, and then all of that has to be sent down to Columbia to deal with PHAG, and of course get the approvals from here, from the engineers up here. So, you know, it's almost impossible to actually pinpoint an exact time. So I am gonna ask to extend that, you know, to protect myself, to 24 months in the contract. I just spoke to Carl about it this evening, but I don't see us taking that long.
So the contract that was given to council today is the contract that was delivered to John about a week ago, a little over a week ago. In talking with Lawrence Flynn, who's the attorney, our attorney that wrote this contract, we could have the first reading without having to fully negotiate. We are in agreement, we're fine tuning a few tweaks and all that there. Our plan is to have the rest of that planned out or agreed upon and completed this week so that they can go in your packages for next Monday. That is the plan.
Okay.
I fully believe that I can be starting this project, you know, in the 15-month period that we have. You know what I mean? But like I said, you know, I can't read the tea leaves on the Army Corps of Engineers or these cemeteries, to be honest with you.
I think we've got the appropriate protections for the city and for the company to move forward with this. I don't think there's a problem there, just from what I've seen. We got any more questions? Are we ready to vote? Okay. If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries unanimously. And we look forward to the next one. I'm counting on that.
Counting on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, need to have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Cook, second from Mr. Kirkendall. Questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no, and we are adjourned. Thank you.